Hi friends, welcome back to Math Dive in 5. Today we're talking about perimeter and area. So one thing that happens a lot in classrooms is students get confused between these two. They try to find area or perimeter and don't remember, oh, do I add all the sides or do I multiply? If you ever taught either, you probably have run into that situation. So let's think about the tasks that we give students. Oftentimes, they'll get a task that looks something like this, where they're asked to consider situations, right? There's painting going on, there's fencing, framing, tablecloths, all sorts of things that students may or may not have ever had experience with. Another situation would be where they're asked to compare perimeter and area. Right? So not only are they having to understand which is which, but now compare the two. Our students are not going to be successful on tasks like this if they haven't had real experience, hands-on experience, finding area and perimeter at the same time. So giving them tasks where they have to work with manipulatives, with tools, with each other to determine perimeter and area. And those experiences will allow them to remember the math. And after we've given them those experiences, the tasks that we put in front of them should be ones where they have to reason and justify, right? Here it asks, do you think that Nathan is right or not? Explain. We want our students to be able to explain their mathematical thinking and reason about others. Here's another typical task that you might see. And if you consider how much of your class would be successful with this task, I would estimate maybe 75% of a typical classroom might be able to do this problem successfully. So we want to think about ways to take a problem like that and open it up to everyone, access for all of our students. So here's an open-ended question. What do you notice and what do you wonder? The idea is the same as the previous task. The numbers are the same, but the question we're asking allows for all students to answer and all students to engage. And once they're engaged, I can then ask them a more pointed question about the math that I want them to learn. So thinking about ways to take a typical problem and open it up a little bit so that all of our students have an entry point that makes sense for them. Another thing to consider is math routines. So how often are your students working with perimeter and area? Is it just a couple days during the geometry unit? Is it during calendar if you do calendar, or do you already do a routine? And this is just one example of a routine that you could do to reinforce the concepts of perimeter and area. And then one more thing to consider is language. Language matters. And we know that having anchor charts up and word walls are important in our classrooms. But also consider talking to your students about word meanings and where words come from, right? The root word peri actually means around. Meter means measure. Area comes from a word meaning a piece of level ground. So in math, we can sometimes figure out where these words come from and find other ways to help our students remember so they can connect their concept to the vocabulary. So that is it for now.